All right, this is Erica Carlson. My website's I Heart Minneapolis Homes. Thank you so much for joining me on this very first video about mortgage pre-approval. I am not a lender, I'm a real estate agent, but I'm telling you, we're like a team, right? I need, unless you're gonna buy a house with full cash, and I don't mean one payment, I mean you're gonna buy a $200,000 house because you have $200,000 plus whatever else you need to buy the house. So that's what we mean by cash. And if you are a cash buyer, which is absolutely amazing, you still do need proof of funds, that you can't pull out the shoebox and say that this is good enough. There's 3 reasons why we need to get you pre-approved. I'm assuming you're not a cash buyer right now. And there's loads of lenders to pick from. Erin is in our group and would be happy to answer any questions for you about the different types of lending options that you have, and is specialized in helping first-time home buyers, so don't hesitate to reach out to him. So here's our big 3 reasons we need to do this step before we start getting serious about the home shopping process. Is one, and this is the most important, you need to know how much house you can afford. You know, I love watching those shows on HGTV about these luxury $1 million houses, but I don't know if ever in my lifetime I'm going to be able to afford them. So why would I want to waste time other than just for fun looking at houses I can't afford on my salary? So you need to get clear about that. And a good lender is going to help you figure out your monthly mortgage, and including, you know, taxes and insurance and utilities. So there's some nuances or some details that you might have not had to deal with when you were renting or living with a family member. So make sure you're working through all those details. They might approve you for more than you'd be comfortable actually living with. So the first question is, what am I approved up to? And then what is the comfortable range that I want to be in the long run? You know, that old saying, house rich, cash poor. You know, we don't want to put you in that situation. You still want to be able to buy furniture, or maybe you're going to need a new car or something like that. So we want to put you in a financially comfortable position, so you're not over your head. The second, and I already touched on this a little bit, is just what are your house payments going to be? So just saying a house is $150,000 or $300,000. These are just big numbers we're throwing around. They don't mean anything until we break it down into your monthly payments. So make sure you're asking that question as well. And then the third one is the least of the selfish ones, which is being a little bit more empathetic to other people, which is when you ask to see somebody's house, they're leaving and hiding out somewhere. They might be going down to the McDonald's or the library to get out of the house for you. They've cleaned it for you. Their assumption is that the real estate agent has qualified the buyer enough to know that A, they can afford the house, and B, they're serious enough about this one. Every time you have to leave your house, that is the assumption you're under. You're hoping that that's the one that's going to write the offer, and so that you can move into your next house. So it's very disappointing to think about doing all that work for somebody who's just having a good time just looking at houses. That would have irritated me before I was a real estate agent, to think that people were, I had a 1-year-old at the time. So we would go sit in the car out front and literally watch the person go in and leave, because there was nowhere to go with a baby. It wasn't trying to be uncomfortable. And they do leave for you. But sometimes they are just down the street because they don't know where to go with their baby or their dog. We're kind of putting somebody out every time we ask to see a house. So on a different note, all of this that we're talking about is really not a recommendation. It should be a requirement. Whatever real estate agent you work with should be asking you for a copy of this. So when you write an offer, you are ready to go. You don't want to fall in love with a house and then scramble to figure out if you can afford it and is anybody going to qualify you for a loan. That would be sort of putting the cart before the horse, as they say. So, ethically, all real estate agents should be asking you and qualifying you to see if you're ready to really buy a house. A little secret is, we know if you're not willing to jump through that hoop, that you're probably not very serious about the process. And I would stick to open houses and just looking online until you're ready to move forward with talking to lenders. So Aaron's number, if you want to reach out to him, is 612-386-6575, and he'd be happy to help you. And then the last thing I want to talk to you about is not making any mistakes once you're serious about buying a house. There's 10 commandments for buying a home. You don't want to change jobs, suddenly become self-employed, or quit your job once you're qualified. That also includes making big purchases. It's not time to buy a car or a truck or a van unless you want to live in one, because that will unqualify you. Be careful with your credit card statements. It's not time to use them excessively. It's not time to fall behind on your accounts. The fourth one is you don't want to spend any money you are setting aside for your closing. If that's money you said, if you said I have $5,000, you got to leave that alone and save it for your house. 5, you shouldn't omit debt or liabilities that you have. It's not going to make you look good on your loan application in the long run. 6, you're not going to buy furniture, even on credit. It's not, I know you want to buy that perfect couch, but you need to move in and then buy the couch. 7, you're not going to originate any inquiries on your credit. This includes not consolidating debt as well. I once had a house that was almost ready to close, and that last week, for some reason, that young man decided to consolidate his student loan debt, which sounds smart, but it was just not the right time to do it, and it pushed off our closing for a couple days, and luckily that was the worst that happened. We were really at risk of the whole entire house falling apart for him and us having to relist the house. And then let's see, number 8, don't make any large deposits without checking in with your loan officer. So maybe if you were gifted money, or I don't know, got some sort of bonus, you might want to talk to them first. 9, don't change bank accounts. And 10, it's not time to co-sign any loans for anybody. So you can tell the overwhelming theme here is it's time to keep everything about the same. It's not time to make any dramatic differences. And if there is something that needs to radically change, your car died, or you couldn't control that you lost your job, you're just communicating all of this to the lender of your choice. Thanks for tuning in.